Hand-to-hand combat in movies can be just as spectacular as gunfights, sometimes even more so, especially when true martial arts masters showcase their skills. We decided to remember the best of the best, and today we'll tell you about 10 screen fighters. Brace yourselves. Real fighters in movies. Billy Blanks and his combats with prayers. American actor and martial arts champion Billy Blanks grew up in a ghetto in a large family with 14 siblings. He was born with a hip joint anomaly that impaired his movements. However, Bruce Lee and the TV series The Green Hornet inspired Billy to take up sports. Since his family couldn't afford paid workouts, he found free classes at a youth center. Eventually, he earned a 7th degree black belt in Taekwondo, became a 7-time world karate champion, and acquired black belts in 5 different martial arts. The U.S. karate team noticed this talented athlete, and he eventually became its captain. In 1975, Blanks became the first to win the Amateur Athletic Union Championship, a title he would win 5 more times, and in 1982, he was inducted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame. In 1986, filmmakers noticed him too, thanks to his work as a bodyguard for Hollywood actress Catherine Bach. Eventually, he was invited to the low-budget action film Low Blow, which was included in a section aptly named Best of the Worst years later. He also appeared in action movies like Tango and Cash, Lionheart, and The Lost Boy Scouts, and the thriller Kiss the Girls. Billy played both villains and good guys, often working behind the scenes as a fight choreographer. Moreover, he developed a unique body fitness system called Thai Bo that combined some techniques of Taekwondo, Thai boxing, classic boxing, karate, aerobics, and many other practices. Blanks realized this brought him more cash and left the film industry in the late 90s, devoting himself to this new fitness trend. Luckily, his workout DVDs sold like hotcakes worldwide. Today, Blanks is 68 years old. He is a world-class trainer with his own center where he teaches fitness classes and continues to upgrade his method. He rarely appears in movies, usually playing cameo roles. He also writes books on healthy living. Also, Billy is a Christian and has developed a series of training sessions incorporating prayers and religious rituals. The meme-worthy Chuck Norris.
You're the one people call a lone wolf?
I've been called that, but I have mellowed.
Chuck, whose real name is Carlos Ray Norris Jr., began learning martial arts while serving in the army in South Korea. After 3 years of service, he returned home with a black belt and soon opened a karate school. Despite starting his career quite late, Chuck achieved success in sports, holding the title of professional middleweight karate champion for 7 years. Meanwhile, his school expanded into a network with dozens of clubs. As luck would have it, one of the students was actor Steve McQueen, who helped Norris start a film career. The first major project was the action film The Way of the Dragon with Bruce Lee. Speaking of Bruce in the 1960s, he also trained with Chuck. According to Norris, before meeting him, Lee didn't kick above the waist because he considered such kicks ineffective in real fights. However, Chuck convinced him that movie fights needed such kicks, and within 6 months, Lee mastered all the basic high kicks in martial arts. At least, that's what's written in Norris's book, The Secrets of Inner Strength, My Story. Who knows, maybe it's just a bunch of bull. Chuck enjoyed acting and decided to master it. Undeterred by being the oldest student in his class at 34, he became famous at 54 when he starred in the TV series Walker, Texas Ranger. The actor, known for his skillful roundhouse kicks, also starred in many action films directed by his brother Aaron Norris. Moreover, he became the subject of the Chuck Norris Facts meme. Chuck is so tough, there's no chin under his beard. There's only another fist. Chuck Norris doesn't sleep, he waits. He can divide by 0, enter a black hole and come back, make onions cry, and hammer liquid nails. In fact, all possible world records belong to Chuck Norris, and the Guinness Book of Records simply lists the people who have come closest to them. Now 84 years old, Chuck lives on a ranch, runs a business and charity, and occasionally blesses the movie screens with his presence. For example, in the action film The Expendables 2.
I heard another rumor that you were bitten by a king cobra.
Yeah, I was. But after 5 days of agonizing pain, the cobra died.
Don the Dragon Wilson.
Cemetery. St. Aubrey.
Don Wilson was born to an American father and a Japanese mother. As a child, he played football and basketball. He was physically gifted, so when his older brother, who practiced martial arts, offered him a sparring challenge, he accepted it without hesitation. Confident of his victory, Don got what was coming and, humbled by his failure, joined a Goju-Ryu karate club. Then, Wilson got passionate about kickboxing. It was his kickboxing career that earned him the nickname The Dragon. In fact, he used different aliases in professional kickboxing, but only the first one stuck. Despite being an 11-time kickboxing world champion, Wilson always saw it as just a way to prove himself. Movies, on the other hand, were a great way to make money. He debuted on screen in 1989 and has since appeared in dozens of projects, including martial arts films, detective stories, thrillers, sci-fi movies, and even dramas. You could see Wilson in films like Bloodfist, 8 parts, Ring of Fire, 3 parts, Black Belt, Inferno, and many others. At the peak of his career, Don earned $250,000 per film, whereas his record paycheck in kickboxing was $60,000. Initially, such big money went to his head and he spent it lavishly on expensive clothes and jewelry. However, he later realized that helping his family was more important than that. Over time, his attitude towards movies has also changed. He understood that his screen work brought joy to audiences and started taking acting more seriously. Recently, Don has almost stopped acting, focusing on teaching young athletes. For his sports achievements, he has been immortalized in the European Martial Arts Hall of Fame. Jean-Claude Van Damme, ballet dancer and splits king.
Hey, everybody stay calm, we'll be done soon, and then we'll be on our way.
Jean-Claude Van Damme practiced karate from a young age, was a member of the Belgian national team, and became the European champion. Over his martial arts career in karate and kickboxing, he fought 22 matches, winning 20 and losing only twice by decision. Besides karate, Van Damme also mastered kickboxing, Muay Thai, Kung Fu, and Taekwondo. So he isn't just a dancer with good flexibility, although he did practice ballet, and the splits became his signature move. Another celebrity's nickname is the Muscles from Brussels. In the 1980s, Van Damme was Chuck Norris's sparring partner, who pushed him toward a smaller role in the action film starring Norris, Missing in Action. At that time, the aspiring actor shortened his hard-to-pronounce last name, Van Varenberg. Later, Van Damme became a true genre star after the success of Bloodsport, and the films that followed only solidified his status. His character inspired Johnny Cage in the video game Mortal Kombat, and young people worldwide wanted to be like Van Damme and joined karate classes. In the late 90s, the popularity of action films declined, and so did Van Damme's career. Also, there were rumors about his difficult personality. He even once lost a job due to a brawl with studio management. The actor's renaissance came in the 2010s. By that time, he had tried his hand at directing, producing, and screenwriting. Like many other action stars, he appeared in Stallone's The Expendables franchise. Also, he broke the internet with a Volvo truck commercial showcasing his signature splits. Van Damme used to support Vladimir Putin and Ramzan Kadyrov, but with the start of the full-scale war in Ukraine, he sided with the Ukrainians. Off-screen, the actor isn't bloodthirsty at all. He even has become a vegetarian to avoid eating anything that has eyes. Cynthia Rothrock, the queen of action films.
Especially after that unpleasant stagecoach ride from Prairie Ridge. My backside is still sore.
Cynthia Rothrock is a most formidable action movie fighter of the 90s. She is rightfully called the queen of the genre. She started practicing martial arts at 13, inspired by her friend's parents, and was quite successful. She won world championships in karate and earned 6 black belts in various martial arts, including Tang Soo Do, karate, kung fu, and taekwondo. She also did weapons training. Of course, she was obsessed with Jackie Chan films, mesmerized by his ability to use everyday objects for self-defense, and she would try to replicate his stunts at home. The champion's striking looks attracted media attention, landing her on the cover of relevant magazines. Until the mid-80s, film studios were reluctant to invest in action movies with female leads. However, Rothrock shattered the weaker sex stereotype and built a brilliant film career. She was mostly popular in the East, but also earned great respect in the Western cinema, becoming a standout in a masculine genre. William Grote, editor of the martial arts magazine Black Belt, wrote about the American actress. The ponytail is better than Seagal, the chest is better than Schwarzenegger, the look outshines the eyes of Van Damme and Norris. Moreover, unlike Stallone and Willis, she defeats the villains confidently moving in high heels. Cynthia's cinema debut was the movie Yes Madam, which became a hit in Hong Kong and made Rothrock a true star. In the following years, she appeared in Millionaire's Express, Righting Wrongs, and Tiger Claws. She was also offered a role in Armor of God where she would star with her idol Jackie Chan, but the shooting was cancelled due to his injury. By the way, she inspired Sonya Blade, a character in Mortal Kombat. Rothrock now passes on her martial arts skills to students, teaching in studios across Los Angeles and its suburbs. She also owns several gyms and works as a sportscaster for martial arts competitions. She often gets involved to do workshops worldwide and has been inducted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame. Dolph Lundgren, the clever muscle man.
Is that an axe?
No, it's a snow shovel.
That makes sense.
This Swedish actor's life story has surpassed the plot of any of his films. Dolph, originally named Hans, was a frail child, often beaten and bullied by his military dad. Because of this, the teenager started to study martial arts. He tried judo and goju-ryu karate, but in the end, he focused on kyokushin. He was a hard worker and won the Swedish championship in 1977, holding the title for 3 years. He also represented his country in the World Championship in 1979, though he had falsely claimed an extra degree of mastery to get there. Lundgren then became the captain of the Swedish karate team, and in 1980, he won the most significant title of his sports career at the British Open Knockdown Karate Championships. Moreover, he defended his title the following year. Dolph is strong not only physically, but intellectually as well. He studied chemistry at Washington State University and Clemson University, but interrupted his studies for military service in the Swedish Army. He later attended the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm and completed a program at the University of Sydney, eventually earning a scholarship to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. However, he never made it to MIT despite the opportunity of obtaining a PhD. Shortly before heading to Boston, Lundgren met singer Grace Jones, who hired him as a bodyguard. Their relationship quickly turned into a romance, marking another dramatic turn in the Swedish bodybuilder's life. He moved to New York, where he tried to pursue a modeling career and took acting classes. His girlfriend helped him get his first role, and his breakthrough was playing Soviet boxer Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. Later, Lundgren was frequently cast in action films. Despite critical reviews of his acting, he sought roles beyond the taciturn heroes vanquishing their foes. Such films were not so popular, and it wasn't until the late 2000s that Lundgren's career revived, thanks to the franchises Universal Soldier and The Expendables. One of his latest major projects is the superhero film Aquaman. Mark DeCascos, the hereditary fighter.
I have served. I will be of service.
Mark DeCascos, an American from Hawaii, seemed destined for a sports career. His father and stepmother, whom Mark calls his real mother, were renowned martial arts masters in the United States, so they began teaching him martial arts during childhood. By the age of 7, he already started competing in numerous tournaments and ultimately managed to take part in several hundred of them. For some time, he lived in Germany because his parents were invited to Hamburg to share their martial arts teaching methods. While adapting to life there was challenging, Mark managed to learn both German and French. Naturally, Mark watched Bruce Lee movies and was inspired by them, so he went to Taiwan to study Buddhism. Later, Mark shared he never renounced martial arts, but sometimes he just needed breaks. If we are honest, the break ended due to the lack of money. Mark had to pay for rent, tuition at the Chinese school, and kung fu lessons, leaving him short on cash for food and transportation. Initially, he earned some money by teaching English and German, but soon gave it up and started working with his father. Because of his mixed heritage, Mark had a striking appearance and also possessed natural charisma, great social skills, fluency in 5 languages, and martial arts skills. All of this quickly made him a movie star. Films like Only the Strong, Crying Freeman, and Brotherhood of the Wolf became important milestones in Mark's career. In recent years, he has appeared in TV series more often than in movies, but he didn't miss out on the John Wick franchise, playing a role in the 3rd film. Mark's father, Al DeCascos, founded his own kung fu school, combining multiple martial arts styles. Mark expanded it by incorporating techniques from Brazilian capoeira. Now that Al has retired, Mark continues his legacy. Tony Jaa, master of the art of 8 limbs.
There's only so many times you can kill a man. Christmas. Each time, it gets easier.
Tony Jaa is the Hollywood ambassador of Thai boxing, also referred to as the Art of 8 Limbs. His real name is Phantom Yiram, and as a child, he was obsessed with Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan movies. Undeterred by the 7-mile walk to the nearest cinema, Tony was agile and a hard worker, dreaming of becoming like his on-screen idols despite his father's prohibitions. Eventually, his father relented, and the talented young man made a transition from a gopher on film sets to a stuntman and double for other Asian cinema stars. Jaa became popular in 2003 with the release of the action film Ong Bak Muay Thai Warrior. This movie introduced the audience to Muay Thai and a new action hero. Following this success, Tony received numerous offers, both sequels of his cult projects and new films. At some point, Tony disappeared from the screen for several years because he decided to become a Buddhist monk. However, he didn't stay in the monastery for a long time and soon married his longtime girlfriend. In the mid-2010s, Tony aimed for Hollywood, starring alongside his idol Dolph Lundgren in the action film Skin Trade, and later appearing in the 7th installment of a most popular franchise, Fast and Furious. Actually, he could have joined Hollywood earlier. Jackie Chan had invited him to play in the action comedy Rush Hour 3, but due to the filming of the second part of Ong Bak, Tony had to decline. The Thai film company with which Tony had a long-term contract often obstructed his overseas opportunities, preferring to keep their star at home. Only after the end of this contract, John managed to switch to the international market. This led to successful Hollywood projects like XXX, Return of Xander Cage, and Expendables 4. For Tony, his primary personal achievement is popularizing Thai culture and Muay Thai globally. Jackie Chan, the Fearless Master.
Kung Fu is for knowledge, defense, not to make war, but create peace.
This Hong Kong fighter, known for his comedy talent, has inspired many people to take up martial arts. Jackie Chan's influence has reached millions of people worldwide, and some of them have even become famous action stars, as we've mentioned in this video. Jackie's childhood was marked by poverty. His parents even considered putting him up for adoption, fearing they wouldn't be able to provide for him. In the end, they kept him and strived to give him a good education. While Jackie wasn't excellent at school, he enjoyed singing, acting, and kung fu. As a teenager, Jackie worked as an extra in movies and even crossed paths with the legendary Bruce Lee. At the time, he was known by the stage name Chang Long, which means becoming the dragon, a reference to Bruce Lee's nickname Lee the Little Dragon. Jackie admired his senior colleague but didn't want to copy him. Instead, he sought his own style. To achieve this, he worked as a stuntman, took on various jobs, and eventually began co-writing scenes with screenwriters. His on-screen character also evolved from villains to comedy heroes. Jackie's early major projects include the 1978 action comedies Snake in the Eagle's Shadow and Drunken Master. These films helped establish his unique style. He decided to take on opponents with a playful and even ridiculous facial expression, earning him the reputation as Hong Kong's most fearless stuntman. Jackie performs almost all his stunts without a stunt double. It has become part of Jackie's signature style. He has sustained multiple injuries on set, including a near-fatal accident while filming Armor of God. That time, he fell from a tree, hit his head on a rock, and suffered a severe skull fracture. As his popularity grew, Jackie got more creative freedom, eventually building a team of stuntmen and producing and writing his own films. Besides his numerous successful film projects, he has often recorded songs for his movies. In China and Hong Kong, he is also known as a pop star. In fact, in Armor of God 3, Jackie is credited as a cinematographer, set designer, composer, lighting technician, and even catering manager. In the mid-90s, Jackie became successful in Hollywood, starring in the films Rumble in the Bronx, Mr. Nice Guy, Rush Hour, Shanghai Noon, The Myth, and many others. In 2016, he received the Academy Honorary Award for his exceptional contribution to world cinema. In recent years, Jackie has been taking on more dramatic roles. He said in an interview he wanted to be seen as an actor who can fight, rather than just a fighter who can act. He aspires to become the Asian Robert De Niro or Dustin Hoffman. A recognized martial arts master, successful filmmaker, singer, philanthropist, and UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, Jackie has a flourishing public life. However, his personal life is more complicated. He has a difficult relationship with his illegitimate daughter, has admitted to domestic violence, and nearly disowned his son after he was arrested for drug possession. Sometimes his cinema family seems more important to him than his biological one. Bruce Lee, the Legend of the Dragon.
Foreign or not, if it helps you to look after yourself when you're in a fight, then you should learn to use it.
You've already heard Bruce Lee's name several times in this video. Many people were inspired by him, learned from him, and considered him a role model. Bruce Lee is a legendary Hong Kong and American actor, director, and fight scene choreographer who literally revolutionized the way martial arts were portrayed in movies. His life journey began in San Francisco in the year and hour of the dragon, according to the Chinese calendar. In China, Bruce was nicknamed Lei Xiulong, which means Little Dragon. At just 3 months old, Bruce appeared on the big screen in the film Golden Gate Girl, thanks to his father, an actor. Lee often played mischievous bullies or troubled boys, as he was rather frail. Bruce started practicing martial arts during his school years, although he didn't take his training very seriously at first. He also took cha-cha dance lessons and participated in boxing competitions between Hong Kong schools, winning the championship on the first try. However, he soon shifted his focus from boxing to kung fu, which became his great passion. Later, he developed his own kung fu style, Jeet Kune Do. Bruce's private lessons cost around $275 an hour, which was quite expensive at the time. Unfortunately, there are no recordings of Lee's fights in actual tournaments, so assessing his athletic skills is impossible. However, we know that he pushed himself to the limit when he trained, constantly striving for physical perfection and studying various styles and techniques. For many years, the martial arts master kept detailed journals documenting all his exercises. Fragments of these journals were later published, delighting his fans and followers. Bruce also conducted experiments on his body to unlock its potential, even subjecting himself to electric shocks. Amazingly, the legendary Bruce Lee starred in only 5 films: The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, The Way of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, and The Game of Death. The latter was released posthumously and completed with the help of stand-ins. However, as a fight choreographer, he had a huge impact on the way battles are depicted on screen. Bruce invented many new combinations of strikes and various stunts, including nunchaku moves. His fight with Chuck Norris in the climax of The Way of the Dragon became not only a genre classic, but also a benchmark for other filmmakers for many years. On July 20, 1973, at 32 years old, Bruce suddenly passed away while working on the film The Game of Death. One theory suggests he took a headache pill that caused cerebral edema. Another one suspects the abuse of banned substances and an unhealthy diet. His death is surrounded by many legends and rumors. There are about 30 films about his life and work. Lee's fans still visit his grave in Seattle, and Time magazine included Lee in the top 100 persons of the 20th century, calling him the greatest fighter in the history of American cinema. Moreover, Bruce created the image of the perfect superhero without superpowers and remains an integral part of global culture. In the next video, we will talk about some other cinema fighters. Meanwhile, tell us about your favorite screen fighting hero in the comments.